G'day everyone, welcome to another episode of Wineback Wednesday, and today I'm going to have a little bit of fun. I was down in the cellar and grabbing a few bottles for the next few weeks, Wineback Wednesdays, and out the corner of my eye I saw this label in the rack, and it's OOV. It's something you won't be able to see, unfortunately, on the shelves anywhere, but the relationship started probably in the 90s, when I was working up in the Adelaide Hills at Nepenthe Wines, and Nepenthe had a large vineyard development management company, and they were doing things in the hills, they were doing things in the southeast, they were things in Clare, they were doing things in the Barossa, and a gentleman by the name of Owen Miller, who had a big, I suppose, refrigeration company, you could call it. He serviced and provided refrigeration units and service to many of the supermarket chains around Australia for a number of years. And he was based in Sydney, but then bought a couple of properties in the Barossa Valley, and Nepenthe did one of the developments in the Barossa for him. And I met him, and one of the after the developments were finished, one of the employees of Nepenthe stayed on as their vineyard manager, Wayne, and I got to meet Owen a number of times, Owen Miller, and we made good mates over the years. And then I started walking in the Barossa. He was just one of his vineyards was down the road from us, and I spent a bit of time with him. Obviously he was in Sydney mainly time. When he came over, we'd catch up and catch up for a glass of wine or a beer or a schnitzel down the pub or whatever. And over the years I used to buy little bits and pieces of fruit from him, but we did it in such a way that only in small amounts, probably only sort of 500, 600 kilos at a time, enough for a barrel. And it was twofold. I needed the fruit, and also he was selling fruit to one of the large companies, the major companies, and he just wanted to know how his fruit would, I suppose, how it would go when it was kept separate, and if he was doing the right thing. And obviously he and Wayne were doing the right things in the vineyard, and the actual overall quality. And over the years I've done Shiraz from there with a Cabernet, and this is actually Petit Verdot. And the Petit Verdot, unfortunately, was always taken for a rosé. Petit Verdot always has beautiful colour, beautiful perfume, and sort of violets and intensity. And they were using it as a base for some rosé. So, unfortunately, you never really saw the true quality and value out of the block. So this particular year was 2007. So unfortunately, Owen had passed away a number of years ago, and he was had a wonderful innings and incredible stories and a lovely bloke, but unfortunately did pass away. But in 2007 we did some Petit Verdot. So I would then take the fruit, I'd typically blend it away into some Merlot or some Cabernet of my own, and then we keep a little bit, we just bottle off a few dozen off the side, and put a little label on it. So he always wanted to have a label of his own on there, and it's got his obviously signature there, Owen Miller, and it says for friends, not for sale. So I thought, why not? A bit of fun, and I've got 2 or 3 bottles of this left. And 2007 was a cooler year, and Petit Verdot is very late ripening, so it hung there, and we eventually picked it, I think, in sometime in mid-late April. The other company had picked their portion a number of weeks prior, but they had left 3 rows there to get the half, the 500-600 kilos. So without further ado, when I remember going to bottle, it had wonderful acidity, really vibrant still, so it'd be really interesting to see how it goes. Hey look, there's a nice red note through to it, the colour to it. It's a bit of a brown hue on the corners, but you can still see that often I have this sort of blue fruits and this purple floral notes like violets and lift it often has. And there's, I mean, there obviously some secondary notes there. There was a little bit of leather creeping in, but looking through the middle, there is still this really vibrant violet note through there. There's enough freshness and vibrancy and primary note through it to really recognise this is more than likely going to be Petit Verdot. So one barrel goes into. I always put it into sort of 2 or 3 year old French oak, good quality oak. I mean the wine was in its earlier years was vibrant and fleshy and had that lavendery violet purple note thread through it and blue fruits. Even on the palate, there's still some good acidity there, some chocolate, little bits of chocolate in the background. There is plums, but there is a little bit of leather notes coming through, some secondary notes, but it's still primary enough to be really quite attractive and flavoursome and enjoyable. So there's not much more I can say about it. This particular vineyard, was in Marananga, and right on top of the hill, really shallow soils. Mainly most of the Cabernet and Shiraz further down, and coming up the hill there was still some Shiraz right at the top. There was long rows of the Petit Verdot, and running north-south. They planted it for this particular winery, and it had been there for a number of years, but it did, as I said, go into. They thought, it was going to go into a Cabernet blend. 07. The 07 was going into, by 07 they were still putting it into rosé, so they thought it might go into a Bordeaux blend and pick it later, but they always picked it a bit earlier, and then we kept those last 3 rows and gave it a go that particular year. So 07, I'm not thinking, is it 07? 07, sorry. Wasn't cool, it was actually quite warm, quite stinking hot actually, and I remember the berries were small, really quite structured and big intensity in the wine. Remember the Shiraz from that particular year was, as a young wine, was quite tight and structured and quite raw and chewy, and it really needed a few years to settle down. So it's 2017, I got confused with it. 17 was the cooler, wetter year. 7, no, it was quite tough, low yields, really quite hot, really small berries. Petit Verdot, thankfully, being a later ripener, actually benefited in many ways because it missed that sort of peak of that heatish, but it still had lowish yields and smallish berries, but didn't really suffer in that latter part of the ripening phase of the variety. So, excuse me, I just did get a bit confused there. But 7, yeah, was a hot year, and in the Barossa Valley in particularly. But still, yeah, lovely perfume and vibrancy. There is some secondary notes there, but enough plums and violets and lifted sort of purple notes, purple floral notes to really shine through and still say that I'm Petit Verdot and I'm looking pretty smart. What are we now? We're 17 years old, and great to see that, and an ode to Owen, and I'll enjoy drinking the rest of this later on with something nice for dinner. So thanks for listening. We'll speak to you soon. Cheers.